treasure gold.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more about Bitcoin, and hopefully this will be an angle that you haven't heard of today. So that's the intention. And there is a retirement crisis in Latin America, and I believe strongly that Bitcoin is the solution for that. So just to introduce myself, my name is Juan Fonseca. I'm a tech enthusiast. That's maybe the first thing that I did in my life. I'm an electrical engineer, and I worked in technology for a long time. That led me to become a corporate executive in different large companies in telecommunications and eventually banking. So I have to admit, I'm a recovering banker today. You never quite recover from being a banker, and I'm in the process. And right around the pandemic, I discovered the importance of freedom. And probably you guys remember it, right? How a lot of us were held inside our homes, and a lot of things happened that really opened my eyes to the need and the importance of freedom for us humans and for the world. And that led me to discover and understand Bitcoin, okay? So now I would say that I'm a Bitcoiner above everything else, and that's why I'm going to talk about Bitcoin today. It turns out I'm from Guatemala, so I'm going to speak about a lot about Guatemala today, but I just want to make clear that everything that I'm talking about today applies almost exactly to Costa Rica, any country in Central America, and almost every country in Latin America, and almost any developing country in the world. Only 20% of Guatemalans have access to Social Security, and most of them are actually underinsured. It turns out that in Guatemala, working well into retirement age is really a necessity. If you want to live the last chapter of your life, you have to work almost until the last day of your life, or you have to bet on having a big family and a lot of kids that are well off and are going to be able to, pay for your needs in the last chapter of your life. Turns out that 80% of Guatemalans will enter retirement age without any savings or without access to a pension plan. Imagine that. And of the 20% that are relatively okay because they do have access to some retirement funds, about half of them will be facing significant challenges with their cost of living because they don't have a pension plan or they just don't have enough savings to meet their needs in the last stage of their lives. Even the most advanced countries in Latin America, when it comes to retirement plans, for example, Chile and Uruguay, face the risk of unsustainability when it comes to these pension plans. Turns out that there's a rapidly aging population. We have large informal economies, and we have the uncertainty of traditional investment vehicles. So there's really, even in these countries, you don't have a guarantee that you will make it to old age and you will have the money that you were promised for working for decades in a company that offered you a pension, okay? Now, it's even worse. If we look at the most advanced economies in the world, this is data from the Netherlands, and it's very similar in other Northern European countries. You only get 60% of what you made when you were working when you're in retirement. So the day you stop working, you get an enormous, cut in your income. You only get a replacement of 60% of what you were earning when you were working. And this is in a country where you have to contribute 18% of your salary to retirement. So every month, 80% of what you're making is going towards your savings in the future, and then you're only getting 60% of what you made when you retire. This is the best case scenario. This is the best countries in the world. This is Denmark, this is Finland, this is the Netherlands, just the best and most advanced economies in the world. Now, this is the reality for Guatemala. An average worker in Guatemala is earning $400 per month. And it's probably very similar for the rest of Latin American countries. So even if you were to get the best retirement plan in the world in Guatemala, what would you be able to do with $240 for the rest of your life? 60% of 400. It's almost impossible. Actually, in order to do this, you would have to contribute 18% of your salary every month, which is absolutely prohibitive, right? There is just no way that earning $400 a month, you're able to contribute almost 20% of your salary and then live off of 60% of that for the rest of your life, all right? So I think it's safe to assume that in Latin America, the retirement crisis cannot be solved within the system, okay? A new paradigm is needed. And this is where this topic that I love so much comes in. We're in need of a system that allows for very high interest rates, right? 7% will not do it. We need for something that allows for very low contributions. There is no way people are going to be able to contribute $100, $200 every month, for 20, 30, or 40 years. There is no way that's going to happen. We need something that's independent from government because we cannot afford the uncertainty that government produces. Let's say you're in Venezuela and you were working for 30 years, and now when you're about to retire, the government has entirely collapsed, and the currency is worth nothing. So it is not fair, and it is not a wise financial decision to bet your future on a government that's uncertain. We also need something that's debasement free, right? We need currency that cannot be increased or printed out of thin air because that destroys currency. And finally, we need something that has universal access. Anyone, anywhere, at any moment needs to be able to have access to this system. And turns out that there is a system. Fortunately, such a system exists, and that system is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin provides exactly all of the things that we need in order to have a system that allows you to retire with dignity. Okay? So, let me present to you the team at La Increíble ABM. This is a very popular retail store in Guatemala. About 20 people conform this team, and they are lucky that the owner of the store is a Bitcoiner, friend of mine, and a friend of the company that I work for. And he was open to the idea of becoming one of the first companies in the world to save for retirement planning using Bitcoin. And I think they have proved, and they are proving, that the retirement crisis can be solved using Bitcoin. Turns out that contributing only 2% of their salaries, 2%, and this is very interesting because after talking to a lot of these individuals that are making close to minimum wage, it turns out that almost anyone can save 2% of their earnings. Almost anyone. And let's say for 25 years. Most of these folks that I've talked to are around 25, 35, so it's completely okay to think about working, till when they're 60 or 65. And this can dramatically improve their odds at retiring with dignity. Just 2% for 25 years. Let's look at some of the numbers. This is the Bitcoin savings plan that we have created for them. It's 100 quetzales a month. That's around $12 to $13 every month. When I talked to them and asked them if they could afford to put $13 into savings, most of them were like, absolutely. Why? Because $13, I can spend them any day in anything. Like I can go today, just buy something here in the street cart outside of work, and I'll spend $13. Hell, I'll just lose $13 on my ride home on the bus. Like I had $13 in my pocket, now I don't have them, and life goes on. So most people are okay with putting $13 of their savings, even if they're earning minimum wage, into retirement. Why don't they do it today? Because it makes 0 sense. Why would you store $13 if you're getting 0.25 interest rate? It's you're better off enjoying it like today. Go eat something because it's not going to worth anything. If after 25 years all you have is less than $4,000 to retire, that makes no sense, right? $13 times 12 months times 25 years is $3,900. If you put it in Bitcoin, though, that can change your life. In the worst case, this worst case is a very, very, very conservative case. That would be $132,000. That's enough to change someone's life and to, let them enjoy retirement in even a much better financial situation than the one they had while they were working. The middle scenario can completely change their lives and future generations. And the best case actually gets them out of the social class they're in and puts them in an entirely different social class for the following generations. So that's the power of Bitcoin. 100% replacement rate, much better than Denmark or Netherlands, for 27 years. So someone that retires at 60, if they had one of these plans, with the worst case, they could enjoy 100% of what they earned for almost 30 years. If we talk about the best case, they would be making almost 3 times, or 2.5 times, 250, that's 3.5 times what they made, and they could enjoy that for 50 years. So from 60 to 110, they would be able to have more than 3 times what they had while they were working. With the help of Osmo, the company that I work for, we're helping the team at La Increíble ABM, and they've already been saving for 1 year. Okay? So let's look at the results that they've had so far. So far, the team is doing better than expected. So they're outperforming the best case scenario. For the first 12 months, they had a 54% rate of return. For the best case, in the graph that I showed you, we were using a 37% rate of return. But that's okay. That's how Bitcoin works. Bitcoin is not consistently 60% every year. It's 60% some years. It's 30% some years. It's 120% some years. And it's like negative 30 every 4 years, right? And that's where everyone gets really scared, or negative 50, like 4 years ago. But anyways, when we're talking about long term, we can afford to weather any storm, right? Because Bitcoin always goes up. If we look at it in the long term, Bitcoin always recovers from whatever crash it has. So these guys are well on their path to the best case. And that's pretty much it. This is what we've learned so far, and what I want to really have you guys take home. Whether you're a business owner and you want to look at helping your employees retire with dignity, whether you're an employee and you want to have access to this, and maybe you want to talk to your employer about it, or whether you're someone that's in any position of influence and you can help me and Osmo put the word out. Go to your regulators and talk about this to people in positions of power that can help us spread the word of the possibility of retiring with dignity. So this is what we've learned. Anyone almost anyone, it doesn't matter what they earn, can save for retirement with Bitcoin. If you have a company-sponsored plan, it vastly increases the chance of success. Let me explain why. Like if you ask someone, and you can probably relate to this, if I ask you to save some money after you've spent all of your money on what you need, how many of you guys would actually be able to, whatever is left, put it in savings? Be honest. Have you guys tried that? Like you receive your money, you spend on everything you have to spend, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to take whatever's left and put it in savings? It almost never works, right? So you actually have to save it up front. And that's what the company does. And that's what's so brilliant about just having a company participate in this. They take only 2%, you almost not even feel it, and then they pay you the rest, and the 2% is put safely, on your savings for the future. Participation, of course, has to be voluntary. Most of the people are and should be very skeptical about this, right? It sounds too good to be true, and I recognize that. And that's okay. That's okay. Most people at first are going to be like, I don't want to put my money into magic internet money, right? Why? But that's okay. A lot of people will, especially the younger ones. Our experience has been that they've been super excited about participating here. And guess what? After a few months, when they see that their colleagues have been increasing their savings and have been actually accumulating some savings, they want to participate as well. So make it voluntary. The other thing is that, like I said before, almost anyone can afford to do 2%. Education is completely crucial. And that is the most important thing that you guys can help us do here. Just help people understand that Bitcoin is not a scam, that Bitcoin is actually the solution to many of the problems that our current society has, because it fixes the monetary system, and people need to understand that. Everyone can understand it if it's explained to them. The other thing that's maybe not as surprising, but it's definitely a lot of fun, is that people, when you help your employees create wealth, they're very happy. They're very grateful, and it turns out it's really good for business. Most of these folks at La Increíble AVM are, super loyal to their employer, to their employee. They are coming to work. They're being more productive because you're really actually helping them and their families. So it's good for business as well. Regulatory concerns are definitely the biggest hurdle that I see. And this is where, why I'm here today. Because I want regulators to understand they don't have to do anything. They just have to get out of the way. Because when I speak to large companies, their main concern is, what's the regulator going to say if I do this? What are the risks that we are, as a company incurring in doing this? We just don't want to go through any trouble. So we actually just need the regulator to say, that's okay. You guys can do that. We're not going to mess with you. That would be the main thing that I think. If there's any regulators here in the audience, please take that with you. And finally, the main thing is that I really think that Bitcoin can allow anyone to retire with dignity. So if you want to help us do this, if you want to spread the word, if you want to want our help to get your company to establish one of these plans, please reach out. You can find us here. You can set up a meeting with me, and we'd be more than happy to partner with you, to help you, to share everything that we've learned. I don't care if you're our competitor. We just want to get this out there, and we want to help you guys save Latin America from this retirement crisis. Thank you.
My sorrow into treasure gold.